Bwah, bwah, bwah. It's another TromBonus episode. It's just Rob, Celine, Engineer Joey, and a pocket full of dreams. We are all assholes, so let's party. We drunkenly interview the Planet Smashers. That's right, you heard me. On Checkered Past, the Ska'd cast. What up, Checkerheads? Welcome to Checkered Past, the Ska'd cast with Celine and Rob, the show where a scabernac and a skankophone explore the history and impact of a different band each episode and hope to bring in new fans along the way. I'm Rob, and this is my sister and co-host, Celine.
I'll say that again. Ska'd. Sacralis. We're French.
And here, as always on TromBonus, is Engineer Joey.
Hello, I'm not French.
Oh, you didn't have one? I thought of Skankophone, and I'm like, God, that had to have been a name. The Skankophones?
Yeah.
I mean, that's perfect.
Fun.
Totally.
It's like low-hanging fruit.
Skanglophones?
No, Skankophone is way better.
Skanglophones.
No, I don't like it. That'd
be
less
the rival
good.
band
Yeah.
in Montreal.
Skanglophones versus the Skankophones. Skankophones?
Skankophones.
It does work. It's better.
Yeah, that's right. I put a lot of thought into this.
You and your French purity.
60 seconds worth of thought went into my puns today.
Okay.
And it's on theme because if we're talking about French puns, we're talking about French ska. So we're talking about the Planet Smashers.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a segue.
Organic.
Got there.
I'm organic like 10 feet of a grocery store.
Good one.
Organic. Lynn?
Nope.
This is going to be an episode where we are fully breaking format.
Yeah, this is. I'm not gonna lie. It's. I haven't heard any of this yet, and I don't remember much. So yeah, this is a mixture of emotions for me. Listening back on it, I remember being bold. I remember being very bold.
I partied the least.
I had fun.
Hard, I think, as far as
Me
beers
too.
were concerned. And I would say neither of you were shameful.
Oh, that's nice. I partied the least hard out of everyone in that place.
So let's talk about what happened. So basically, I'm going to set the stage. This episode is going to be several segments broken up of an interview we did with Canada's The Planet Smashers. So how this came about, we went to a show that they played, a Stomp anniversary, 26th anniversary show that was at the Starlight Room in Edmonton. That featured a ton of Stomp bands. It started at like 5 in the afternoon and went until 1 in the morning. There was the Anti-Queens, the Real Sickies, Ray Gun Cowboys. It was pretty stacked. Really only one ska band, if I'm going to be honest, and that was the Planet Smashers headlining.
Lots of Billies.
But
So much of Billy.
So much of
there's
Billies.
a lot of Billies.
There was a lot of Billies.
of Billies. And they came out to play. It was packed with Billies. Yeah.
There's no shortage of Billies in Edmonton.
And Celine knew every
Billy.
single one of them.
Yeah, me and Joey were talking about how we went in there with like a whole bunch of like stickers and we're just like looking for people we know. And Joey knew a couple and then I knew like one guy. But it was like Psychobilly Central. And Celine was just like, oh, I know her, I know him, I know her, I know him. I know the bartender, I'm going here, I'm going here. And, like, blah, blah. And so Celine was like wallflowering the whole night.
Yeah.
Handing out stickers.
But were the stickers handed out?
That's right. It got the job done. And so...
A Billy reunion, an Edmonton Billy reunion.
But then we came in with a microphone and we had this huge plan that we were going to just like hook it up to Joey's laptop or to your tablet and just do like man on the street interviews with people and be just like, what do you think about the Planet Smashers? And we like, well, that's fun, right? That'll be
Did you guys do that at all?
No.
Oh, no.
But I'm going to throw it to Engineer Joey because through his love of smoking marijuana on a sidewalk, he was able to hook something up for us.
There's nothing Joey loves
So tell
more.
the story, Joey.
So I've played in bands for like a long time in the Edmonton scene, and I know that the easiest way to talk to anybody in a band is just be like a jaded dude smoking a joint outside of a venue. So when we got there, Rob and I went to the merch table where Matt was, the singer-guitarist for the Planet Smashers. And we handed him a couple of stickers and said, hey, man, we're with the podcast. And they had interacted with our Twitter and stuff, so we knew that they were aware of us. And he said, oh, you got to talk to our trombone player. He's our Twitter guy. So I said, right on. We had no idea what he looked like or who he was. So we went, and while the Real Sickies were playing, for their last song, they brought up the horn players from the Planet Smashers, which was sick. They added a lot to the music. It was a lot of fun. But I was like, that's the fucking guy. The guy with the beard. We got to go talk to that guy. So as soon as the band ended, as tradition dictates, I went outside to smoke a doobie. And I lost Rob on the way, and I was outside standing there, and lo and behold, there was Pat, the trombone guy.
That guy, the very guy.
That's the fucking guy.
That's the very guy.
Yep. So I just went up to him, and we made Checkered Past t-shirts for the event, so we were identifiable. And I unzipped my t-shirt, and I said, "Hey, I'm with this podcast." And he was like, "Oh man, are you Rob?" And I was like, "Nope." But we BS'd for a couple of minutes.
Are
and then
you
Rob
the
showed up.
Rob?
And then I found my way
Rob.
outside. I'm like, hey, what's up? And then I think Pat.
I'm Robert.
Yeah, that absolutely. I definitely had my finger up my nose and my beanie was spinning. And I went over and he's like, "Oh, I love the podcast. I got some issues with your Planet Smashers episodes." Where he said
fair.
I disagree with them or something like that. I was like, "Oh, that's funny." And so yeah,
Your opinion's not valid here, sir.
and he just was like, "Do you want to do an interview?" He's like, "We'll figure something out. We can do it here at the venue, or you can come back and drink beers at our hotel." He's like, "I can get Matt, and I could probably get somebody else." And yeah, like, lo and behold, fast forward 3 hours later to when
Many Burt Reynolds shots have passed.
yeah,
The
and
tiny mushroom I took
There's
kicked in.
There's the time Scott Sheen for this episode.
oh yeah,
yeah.
that's the time. The time Scott Sheen was only 3 hours in this episode, and Planet Smashers played their set. They ripped. It was awesome.
I fell.
Did you?
I fell a few times.
Oh, I
She
didn't.
said
I did not recognize that.
There
I
was
skanked the whole
there
time.
was this dude that was always near me somehow because I stand like on the edge of the pit. I don't really get into it. Plus, I was carrying my like tablet and microphones and shit. But this dude fell so many fucking times. And the next day I asked Celine, she was like, I fell so many times. I was like, did you fall as many times as that one dude that fell so many times? She's like, I think I did.
I remember being like picked up a lot,
I mean, you go to a ska show and
which
you have
is
to
nice.
pick,
You
and
have to pick it up.
And
Yeah.
for context to our listeners, the venue we were in used to be a theater, and the stage is at the top of an inclined floor. So as you're standing watching bands, the floor is at like a
10-degree
It's easy
angle.
to fall on, everyone.
Yeah, it's very easy
Very
to fall
easy
on,
to fall.
especially
It's
after
like
a few drinks.
specifically an easy,
Yeah.
and I always wear stupid shoes. It's my own fault. But I did help that chick stage dive
yeah.
for the first time, and she ended up being like this super hot. I think she works at a radio, like pole dancing instructor. And anyways, she like won like Miss Nude Canada multiple times. So we're
Wow.
like, anyways, she was rad.
Now you're Insta friends.
Now we're Insta friends.
Yeah, I know. I saw the video she posted,
Yeah, it
or
was
like it was a
sweet.
GIF or whatever. Yeah,
We like hugged and cheered. I was like, "You just stage dive." She's like, "I want to stage dive." I was like, "You should absolutely stage dive, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna help you."
And that's how No Doubt got signed.
Oh yeah.
And
Maybe the Planet Smashers will get signed now.
are they going to get signed? This is when the Planet Smashers go to a major.
Yeah.
What great timing. And so after the set was done, so they did an encore, and then we found Pat after, and he just was like, "You guys ready? Yeah, let's do it." And we
then
decided
where was I?
where was Celine was a question we were asking a couple of times. You were having a heart to heart with somebody.
It was a really intense conversation of a really.
And you're like,
it was very.
and I was
I
like,
shooed
we're
him.
interview, and I got shooed by Celine, and I was like, they're over there.
It honestly
And, like,
wasn't
yeah.
as important as this conversation at that time.
Yeah. But it was like 1 a.m, and we just did it in the venue, like while they were cleaning up. Like after probably 90% of the crowd had left. There's still some like stragglers, whatever, hanging around. But
I did not notice 90% of the crowd had left.
yeah, wow, that happens all the time. Like, but not with you. I'm just saying in general. If you drink a
No,
lot
it
and then you
does
see
happen
people,
to me
Yeah.
specifically all
But
the
I-
time.
Specifically. So
But I will.
Yeah.
So we did the interview with one single mic that we just passed around. We didn't have a stand for it or anything, so we just
I
passed
didn't
it.
remember anyone being named Mike.
No.
Four Finger Mike was there in the crowd, but he was not there for the interview.
Oh yeah, Four Finger Mike was there.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
Of
Edmonton
Mad
people.
Bombers.
of Mad Bombers.
Yeah.
Fame.
And so we were passing the mic. So the interview was done really on the spot. We weren't expecting to interview the Planet Smashers. It was just kind of circumstantial and happenstance.
I was.
And it was good. And so it was very exciting. Obviously, we were very stoked. And you could probably hear it in the interview that we're pretty excited to be talking to them. So I got a couple warnings about the interview that's about to come up. So number one, because we were using a single mic, a lot of the conversation is heard off mic a little bit. We do our best to hand the mic from person to person, but it doesn't work out necessarily.
Probably the drunken. I definitely was shouting drunkenly at any point.
No, you were on the mic more, so
and
it was
I-
more me. Yeah,
I was Mike greedy when I was drunk.
I did
You're pretty
get
Mike
in-
Greedy.
I did get in there and kind of edit as much of the quiet audio up as I can, and that creates some sort of hard edits in the volume, but it makes everything more audible.
and I did my best to. So I chopped and screwed the interview a little bit to create 7 kind of discernible segments with some pattern, so that we can kind of talk in between. So the way this episode's going to work is we'll chat a little bit up front. Go into the interview segment, talk about it after, and then kind of go back and forth a little bit. So it's not going to do any of our normal stuff, no scar-rections, no segments up front. It's just going to be the Planet Smashers interview in and out, talking about it as we go. So a little bit of content warning just by way of like audio fidelity. And also, if you're not a fan of hearing some intoxicated people interview some other
Yeah, if
mildly
that's
intoxicated
triggering
people,
to you,
yeah.
then I'd recommend not listening because there is
Yeah, if you're
on sobriety or anything.
yeah.
If this would be triggering, I wouldn't listen because I'm not sober at all.
nor am I, and nor is I think at least 2/3 of the people we interview. So, 3 members of the Planet Smashers were on, and should I tell the name of the segment before we do it? I think so. So. Segment 1 is entitled Fishbone. So we won't talk about it right away because I think it's worth just playing. So we're going to play our first 3-minute. Oh,
Before we kick into it, I want Celine to explain how she was able to wet her whistle for the beginning of this interview as we started.
Oh yeah, I forced Matt's the lead singer.
yeah.
I forced him to give me one of his drinks. To be fair, he had 3.
He had 3 ciders that
2
just
which were
lined up in front of him.
open,
Yeah.
one which was not, and the bar was closed. And I sat down and I saw the ciders, and I said, "Are you going to drink all of those?" And he looked pretty caught up guard, and he said, "Yes." I was like, "Even that one that's not open." And then he was kind of like, "I guess," and then I just like swiped it, and I got a delicious apple cider.
Was it apple cider?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It was some sort of cider.
It's Okanagan Spring, so it's probably
It
like
was a
blueberry
It was a
cider or something like
It
that.
was
Yeah.
tasty.
So that's how we started it. Be warned that my voice sounds like
who are you?
Kermit the Frog on a bad day. So
I just caught a like glimpse of it.
yeah, my voice sounds very
voice-
strange. So, and I listened back to it. I'm like, what person did this? Anyway, here's segment 1, Fishbone.
Checkered Past, the Ska'd cast, coming live from the Starlight Room with the Planet Smashers. Does everyone want to introduce themselves?
We have Alex and Patrick. I'm Patrick.
I'm Matt.
We have the legendary Canadian ska band, the Planet Smashers, with us. So I have one question to start things off. How do you feel about Fishbone?
They are so great. I played with them 26 times, and it's insane. Not with the Planet Smashers, but
Like listening to it. Genuinely. Is it fun to listen to?
yes.
That's the correct answer.
Unyielding Conditioning is like a jam. Like these guys, like they're legends. They're California legends. Goodbye, Celine.
It's okay.
We're off to a great start. It comes up every episode. I'm a big Fishbone fan.
I forgot that they were such a like BIPOC band, and that made me feel like a piece of shit. I was like, oh, that's a lot. It's a very inclusive band.
There's a show that they did I think in '93, like in Tokyo, that is out of control on YouTube. You have to watch it. It's the best.
Will that change how I feel about them? It would help. What about like do 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 do?
What about Ma and Pa?
I mean, come on. I mean, that song is influential. You hear it in almost all the real Boss Tone ska tunes.
Oh, I'm having a day. I'm just gonna put that on.
Yes!
Like, oh, I'm gonna.
But there are some other ones, like Housework is, I understand. There is some whipping sounds, but I mean, there's a reason.
How many songs though?
Party at Ground Zero.
Party at Ground Zero.
We have one.
UGLY, you're gonna go alibi, you're just. Well, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna look at you and say
I
that.
just like Fishbone.
Now, one time we played with them on a Warp Tour, and I think they just showed up. We thought it would be the last Warp Tour. It was the 10th anniversary Warp Tour. They went on for like another 15 years or something. And Fishbone forgot a tuner, and there's only a 30-minute set, and I swear 10 minutes of it was the bass player trying to tune his bass, and it was so bad. It's the only time where I was like, oh man, what's going on with Fishbone? But then we got a chance to play with them again in Boston about 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was called Crankin' in the Skankin' Festival, Boston's festival. Bouncing Souls were on it, and they shredded.
They were shredders. It was unbelievable. Legends.
They basically took all the bands that collectively and picked them up and threw them off the stage with one trumpet.
You know what?
I'm so thrilled that I started this interview by making Celine defend her opinion on Fishbone, and now she's off on somebody else. I'm very excited about it.
Okay, does not want to be on the Ska'd because he's leaving. He's walking around. Yeah, he's gone.
People should listen to this because this is important.
It's very important.
We tank this interview.
It's now my goal on every interview for us to talk about Fishbone, because I need you to be won over on this, because it's my life's passion. My life's passion.
They were white dudes. I did.
You thought Fishbone were white dudes. I don't even know what to do with this. We are white.
I thought it was like Primus, and that's fair.
Can I just say, this is like the best episode we've ever recorded.
All right. We're just standing here like losing our shit. That was fantastic. The Fishbone beginning was it sets the tone. I will say this doesn't.
Sorry, I publicly apologize to everyone listening.
It doesn't
I
chill out from here.
apologize to the Planet Smashers. I publicly apologize.
We set a tone and a cadence that does not stop. So if you thought this was too fast paced,
Matt's like, we're white dudes.
Hey, guys.
no, that's what I
That's
said.
what you said.
I just.
Well, you guys know I don't like you.
Did you not hear like my Kermit meets Miss Piggy voice?
Yeah, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that Rob is. I don't know who tired drunk Rob is.
Hi, that's Rob. It's the
Wasn't even that drunk too. Like I steady drinking throughout the night, but I would say like
You
I kept it.
danced so hard.
I danced
You
too much. The
sweated
next
out
day,
so much
I
beer.
hurt so bad.
I
And
didn't sweat out my drinks.
also, like I'm too old to be out till 3 a.m. I'm starting to realize, because the next day I had to also be a parent and stuff too. And so like add all that to it.
I put in a full work day of partying. Like from dinner to when we got home, it was like 8 hours.
That's a full work day of partying. That's not the right way to think about
Day
it.
of partying, man.
It shouldn't be what you do.
Woo!
So I just want to say too, like with Fishbone, Alex, the saxophone player, he had a hard time, I'll say, chiming in amongst all the other far more animated
poor
people at the
Alex.
table.
He was so nice too.
Super nice.
So nice.
So nice. He told me a Fishbone story after we stopped recording that he wanted to get on. And so I want to regale this. So Alex, correct this story if I'm misremembering it from that night, but it was pretty cool. He talked about playing saxophone, or he played a show in France, in I think maybe he said Paris, and Fishbone was on the bill, and he said when he saw them play, some guy got up on stage, and this was in recent memory, like in the 2000s, got up on stage and pushed Angelo off the stage.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, well, Angelo is not a young guy in the 2000s. And like everyone was like so worried, like, oh my God, did you just get hurt? And he said that Angelo just like jumped to his feet, hopped up on stage, and threw the guy down, grabbed the microphone, and started singing whatever song that it was supposed to be, and was wailing on the dude with the other hand.
I actually remember this story, and that's incredible that I remember it.
It is the most
That's very amazing.
fishbone story I've ever heard. Like,
It's pretty fucking punk rock.
Absolutely, Angelo would fuck a guy up for stealing his microphone and pushing him, and just in front of other
And
people.
still performing.
And still performing. He's just like, "Hey, man," and he's just like destroying this guy who fucking deserved it. Like as if people get too amped up.
Yeah. Too lit.
So,
Too lit.
but yeah, I mean that was great. Fishbone. Everyone loves Fishbone, Celine.
Yeah, everybody loves Fishbone.
Yeah,
but is it fun
Yeah.
to listen to? Is it fun?
It's so fun.
to
I played.
I hate me more than anyone, okay, everyone? So if
Oh, I love you.
I love me. Ah, that was nice of you. I love me. It's just, this is tough. Listen, think about you listening to you being a drunk asshole.
So our second segment that I've queued up is the next piece that we talk about is all of the shows that the Planet Smashers played in Edmonton that we saw. So we get them to talk a little bit about all the different venues that they played in and the bands that were opening for them. So next up on the docket is segment 2, Edmonton shows.
We did two episodes about the Planet Smashers when we first started this podcast. The thesis statement is we love the Planet Smashers. Big fans. Huge fans. Right? Yeah. I was scared. Yeah. This is our third time seeing you here in Edmonton. This is the third venue we've seen you here in Edmonton. The first time we saw you was at the pawn shop, and it fucking ripped. That was an insane show. So good.
But there was other good bands too. I think were Brains on that one too?
Oh, yeah.
And
Yes.
was it Brains?
Did the Skinny play? Yeah,
Skinny-
Brains was there. I feel
The
like Paul was
Skinny?
there.
I feel like it was the brains.
I know. I know we played Pawn Shop twice. And
It was the 20th anniversary.
good lord, that was a long time ago.
6 years. 26 minus
What are
6.
you at, like the 35th?
So, we've been saying it's 26. Mike from Stomp, like he's amazing. Like he does everything. He's like, yeah, 1994 to 2000. I'm like, dude, that's 27. What are you talking about? 95. And actually, if you look at our 25th anniversary merch, it actually says 1994 on it. It's like, so it's actually current now. It's actually brilliant because it's the 25th merch, which we couldn't sell because of COVID. It's actually 26. You gotta read it right. So.
I'm okay with that. That was the other time we saw you was at the downtown or around here. What was that called? Vinyl? Yeah, we saw you with K-Man.
The Jasper on Jasper Street. On Jasper.
Yeah, with that second room, right?
But not in Jasper.
And then you guys were. I remember. I listened to the podcast, and you guys were hanging out while we were drinking. After we're drinking heavily, and you guys were around, but you didn't. I don't think you said hi. I don't know.
We did.
My wife definitely said hi to K-Man.
Oh, that's your first mistake.
Oh,
K-Man.
K-Man's got the wife.
K-Man don't give a shit, apparently.
K-Man's podcast is killer. So he's had a lot of people on it, but he's never asked me, K, what is that up?
Yeah, K-Man, this is you're on blast now.
Like seriously, K-Man, when's my turn? You had like Dusty from Root City Riot on. You had like Filthy Radicals are on it.
K-Man.
Yeah, this is we're putting K-Man on blast, who's also never been on this podcast. He follows us and just like posts like stuff on Twitter about him smoking weed. It's very straightforward.
Kayaking, I think.
He's kayaking now?
Or like canoeing. I don't know what he's water boats. Yeah.
Honestly, that sounds nice.
That sounds
Smoking
nice.
a joint on a kayak, that sounds like I would love to.
K-Man, if you can find a double kayak, I got someone that wants to, hang out on the kayak, man. I do have to say, K-Man's awesome, man. We're not roasting him, right? Like we're being good with him. Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, we're laughing, but it's like genuinely very good music. He's very
This is my attempt to get him on the podcast as well.
desperate.
Yeah.
Is it
Call him and make that happen. I'll call him. I used to be in the
It's not
band.
Kevin, but I might call him that from now on.
Kevin? What do you think? K.
No, Kevin's fine. He's Kevin until he shows up.
Ken Man in the 45s. Ken Man.
So let's get into the. This hasn't even been an interview yet.
It's true. This is
Ken Man.
This is like we get like, you know, arguably one of the biggest bands that we're aware of on the podcast, and all we do is bits for fucking 15 minutes. You're like, yeah, so many bits. This is great. But we're pretty lubricated. Yeah, it's great. I love hearing those stories.
I thought in my memory, I made a lot more like points. Like I thought
You're like, I was so cogent.
Well, I knew it was like drunky and scratchy and screamy, but I thought I was like making like original points and having original thoughts instead of just like Game Man, Ken.
Kevin.
That's still good.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
I guess it's
You're
an
acting like it's
original
bad.
thought. No.
Guys, I was thinking
It's
about
fine.
what you could call this style of reporting interview where you just show up and get all drunk, and I was like, isn't that what Hunter S. Thompson did? But it'd be like sconzo journalism.
Oh shit.
Sconzo journalism. That's
Sconzo
what I
journalism.
do. This was all, yeah, I'm just like one of those people that really like Hunter S. Thompson, and I want to be blown out of a cannon when I die. My body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
But sconzo journalism is great.
Sconzo. Yeah, that's very,
Yeah,
very, very,
I
very
100% approve
very
of that.
good.
Pat mentioned it a little bit that he listened to the podcast. He has said a couple times that he's got a few
Thanks,
episodes.
Pat.
Yeah,
We
Pat's
appreciate you.
So awesome.
Yeah.
He said that what he likes about our podcast is like that it's Canadian. Like he's like Canadian ska is different. This is when we were outside. He's like it's different, and I think like you can't paint it with the same brush as like American ska podcasts do things. And like he appreciates that about our podcast is it's like it has a Canadian point of view, which I didn't.
Poorly produced.
Well,
Low budge.
low budge. We're the Letter Kenny of podcasts.
That's what I'm thinking. We're the
Corner
Canada's.
gas.
We're the corner
Canada's.
gas. We're the animated corner gas.
We're the Canada's Drag Race of Drag Race. We are Canada's Drag Race, like as a ska Canadian podcast. And
We
like,
are. Oh,
Canada's Scudcast.
Yeah.
we're the what's that? The Wall of Chefs.
Oh yeah. Wall of Chefs was actually pretty good.
So Wall of Chefs is a Canadian like cooking competition show, and I was just like, this is when we watch it because if you ever watch like Chopped or whatever, and then Wall of Chefs, it's like there's 10 chefs that are the judges, and they're all like on podiums judging the cooking, and it's very like Canadian and quaint, and they're very nice. But then I was just like, if this was American, it would just have like Mario Batali and fucking like Jeffrey Zakarian all like screaming at each other, and at the like it would be so much more intense and like aggro. So anyway,
He had a short aside with me to say that although he was razzing me, that he does enjoy me on the podcast, and that I add to the podcast. I add to the podcast, everyone.
his razziness will come up later.
I have a charisma also. That's what I bring. What do I bring? Charisma.
You know what? I said that.
Uniqueness, nerve, and talent.
I told that to Ariane after, and I was just like, Celine had them in stitches. And she's like, Celine is very charismatic.
That's all I have. Like, Robert does everything, and I'm like, but what about charisma? And then also my business partner, she does so much like behind the scenes stuff, and I'm like horrible with paperwork. And I'm like, but what about that Celine charisma? You can't put a price on that. I've just been like, oh God, it's the only thing that gets me through this life.
So our next segment, which we'll do before we take a break, is I titled it The Early Years. So I sort of put them on blast to give us some stories about how they formed, and Matt tells some pretty rad stories. So part 3 is up next.
So this is a ska history podcast. So I want to get some awesome stories from the history with ska because you are legends, and we want to hear.
Legend.
Yeah, absolutely. And like a lot of our listeners, even in the States, like are like Planet Smashers. Shit, they're amazing. So I kind of want to hear some stories from like the early days, ska stories from the early days.
Our first live show was actually '94, but the band kind of was created in '93. But back then it was like a 7-piece. I played saxophone, and we had this other guy. Yeah, Kev Lance, this guy buddy from university. He was the singer, and then he realized that he's an awesome dude. But he realized that he was tone deaf as soon as the first rehearsal. He's like, man, I thought in the shower I was good, but now. Anyway. But then it was like, I remember at the end of, college year, where everyone's like, so we're going to do this again, like in September? And everyone said, yeah, man, we're going to come back and do it. And then I slept with the trumpet player, and then I slept with the guitar player, and it kind of like, everything kind of fell apart. So yeah, I was a bit of a slut back then. I was a ska slut. And then everyone left, and then we reformed. But Dave Cooper, the original Planet Smasher, who's not with us because he's doing stuff. He's still in the band, but he's not here. No, he's not. But Dave. I'm
so sad. He's dead.
Dave, I met Dave through. We took an ad out in the newspaper. Said looking for someone to play in my ska band. We're big in Belgium, which is a reference to Singles, the movie, because that was what it was. Touch Me, I'm Dick, I think was the name of their single that got big in Belgium. But anyway. So that's kind of where it started from. Dave showed up, he had one drumstick, and he actually was not a drummer. He had never drummed before in his life. The next day he went out and he bought an electric drum kit, and he was terrible. But anyway, we stuck at it. We just kept on going. We lucked out and we found some really good, some really good players back, in college, and they were actually talented.
You guys put out an ad for like McGill players, right? Because there's in Montreal, so like the university music program.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, it was in Montreal. Very good point. And the ad that we got these guys, we had a confirmed Belgium tour. We were picking on Belgium. I don't know why, but confirmed Belgium tour. And they actually called up and were like, so when's the Belgium tour? We're like, oh, that was a joke, man. And they thought it was kind of funny. But then they were actually really talented. If they had not been around, we wouldn't have made it because we didn't even know how to play our instruments back then. And right around then, so the Montreal ska scene I remember putting up our first poster for our first show ever. And it was just a bunch of skins and rude dudes running around, rude boys. And they're like, holy crap, there's a ska band in Montreal. This is going to be amazing, our own ska band. And then there was another ska band that was a lot better than us.
Who was it?
The Kingpins.
Oh, no.
The Kingpins. So we had when we started, we could not hold our, things were falling apart. We were at road, every 3 songs, we had to start again over. We were terrible.
I was going to re-listen to something. I'd re-listen to the Planet Smashers over the Kingpins right now.
10 Commandments of Ska. No, but the Kingpins had the look too. They showed up wearing suits and stuff, and we showed up wearing plaid, pink hair. We looked a little fucked up. We looked like the street punk kids that the street punk kids don't want to hang out with. So I mean, we didn't know what was going on. We were kind of like this weird sort of, I don't know, dirty hippie thing, and that wasn't so good for the scene back then. It wasn't, people weren't picking it up. But they started out, and then in Montreal we also had another band called Mobster Syndicate. We started, all these ska bands started popping up in Montreal, and the one band that kind of influenced the most was called Me Mom Morgenthaler. They stopped playing, so it kind of opened the door for us. So Dr. Morgenthaler, but it was the first doctor that before abortion was legal, he was the first doctor that would allow that.
That's rad. A feminist queen.
There it is. That's back in the early 90s. And there was one other band that was playing ska that was really good. It was called King Apparatus. And
Mr. Chris.
Mr. Chris. And they actually, all the time, they actually, yeah, I mean.
Or the Catacombs.
The Catacombs?
Catacombs closed.
What?
Yeah.
No, since when?
A couple years ago, right?
That's a bummer. That's a huge bummer.
Right in the bummer.
I only spent some time in Montreal. It was I attempted to live there for 4 months. It's a tough city, man.
Would you show up in the winter?
Yeah.
Definitely don't come to Montreal in the winter.
Also, if you don't speak French enough, it's you can only have call center jobs, and those suck. And then I had bed bugs.
That's definitely the problem.
And I was in the plateau area. Is that a thing?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. Whereabouts in Plateau?
I don't know. It was near Mont-Royal. I don't know. It was near. It was a shitty $400 a month apartment with my.
That's expensive. So expensive. Oh man, back then when we were on, okay, so that's the other thing about Montreal. So,
10 years ago.
but when the Scots team was starting out in Montreal, it was so cheap to live there. You didn't have to work. It was $200, $125 for rent.
Sounded great.
And that's how it all started. You know, the scene started.
It was a great place for artists, right? Like you could really now the rents are going up crazy. And
that a thing?
yeah. And but like it used to be. I remember I had an apartment for $200. At one point.
You could literally work.
Like you could just like gig and like
But and you know the band kind of like did some stuff. We did a bit of touring, and we met a lot of excellent artists on the road. This is back in the early 90s. Yeah, and then people graduated from university. Band kind of broke up, kind of stopped playing, and then Dave again was like, "Hey man, we should probably play again. I mean, all these other ska bands are blowing up. Maybe we should do something." So we did it. We kept on playing, and right around then, the Bosstones had their big hit, and Rancid, well, knock on wood.
Get out of here.
And Rancid had their big song, and things were going crazy. Wow. Time Bomb, 95.
It's the impression that I get. Do, 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 do. You're welcome. Carry on.
I don't remember the do. That was actually the original horn line, but they took that out.
Sorry about it.
Wait,
What
wait.
do you sing? And what do you play, guitar or something? Where's your horns? I haven't seen you play a horn.
Why are you so mad at me?
Because you don't know horns, and that's sad for you.
What are the horns? It's like
I don't know, but I've listened to a couple of podcasts where you could not identify horns. You, Celine. You. Okay? What is this, a saxophone? No, we love you. We love you very much.
So, Celine, is there a saxophone in the Planet Smashers?
There's at least 7.
that's good.
At least.
That's like half the amount of saxophones that are in Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra.
Where's the sax?
Sitting like literally right next to me.
Yeah, so that was the joke. Celine said, "Where's the sax?" And Alex, the saxophone player, is
Sorry,
sitting right
Alex. You were
next to
truly
me.
so kind, so nice, so polite. You didn't deserve that.
When Joey was like kind of like pre-editing it before he sent it over to me, he just texted me and he's like, "LOL, rude dudes."
Rude Dudes is very funny, and I'm going to use it often now.
That's pretty great.
I've seen you play a horn.
Well, this interview it's actually fun to listen back to. I'm really enjoying it. I think this is as good a time as any to take a quick break, Ska'd.
What do you play, guitar?
And when we get back from the break, we got a few more segments to go through. So listen back. All right, welcome back to Checkered Past, the Ska'd cast. We're doing our Planet Smashers interview recap. And so far we've gone through a few segments, and the interview, I think it sounds funny, but maybe that's just me.
no,
Celine is trying to keep her anxiety in check. I just see it.
I like this. This is fun for me. I like listening back to this. This is great.
I do have to reiterate that they adored you.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
they were laughing their asses off.
I was like,
Yeah, but and they can confirm or deny this, but I'm sure they had a couple drinks as well, right?
they can confirm or deny this.
Yeah, I don't know. But they seem to be having a great time. They
Yeah,
told us
Matt
how much
was
fun it
being
was.
a real asshole about giving me that drink. So
The next
Seems pretty into his alcohol.
yeah, he wanted 3 ciders. And he had to settle
Seemed
two
upset to only have 2. So when I had none,
and so we talked about
I didn't have one drink all night. I'm sorry, Robert.
we talked about
Interrupting me.
saxophone. And so the next segment is us talking to the 2 horn players, Alex and Pat, who are sitting right next to us. So Alex plays the saxophone, Pat the trombone, and they give us their origin story about how they joined the band. So let's do that one next.
My hardcore band, Arsenic 33, just split up, and the soundman from the Smashers was the same soundman for Arsenic 33, and he said, "Well, I'll talk to Matt." maybe could arrange something. 8 months later, like I lost all confidence on myself, and it's like he never called me. And then he called me, and he said, "We want you for a jam. Do you want to listen to all those songs, like 12 songs, and play all of them at the practices?" Okay, I'll do it. And Jo, the trombonist, never show up, and I was alone with them all the time.
Really? Like how many jams?
That was the first jam. The trombonist never show up, so
But it was the trombone player.
yeah, and I joined.
Alex, I'm glad you came to that jam, buddy. That was like more than 10 years ago, right? We were talking 10? 20. Yeah, what year was that? 29.
13 years ago?
No, Descent didn't. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
We recorded Descent. And that was 2011 Descent, so we probably did it in 2010. And shortly after, Mr. Pat Taylor came and joined us. He graced us. He was in a band that we all truly adore.
I played for K-Man, and I also played for the Fundamentals. And then I was like, I joined you guys. I remember like I showed up to a practice, and Jo was like, "Yeah, that's good." And like he called me and was like, "Do you want to play for the band?" And I was like, "Okay." And then we played together. It was like you were there, and Jo was there, and Dave was there, and Matt was there, and Ska'd. And then he was like, "Yeah, it sounds fine." And then he just disappeared, and it was all me. And then our first show was on the Plains of Abraham in Quebec City, and we got wasted. And it was raining, on Dave, and he was playing bass. Yeah, and the crowd was wild, angry, and we played. There was like a hip hop group that played. There's a song like the Poutine song that was a big thing at the time in 2012, and then after that there was this other band called Leaper. And they were super cool Quebec dudes, and they played these 6 songs. They were like an alt indie rock band, and they were so nice to me, and I was like hanging out with them. And the crowd was like mad at them at first because it was hip hop, and then indie. They had to turn the crowd around. This is my first show, and they had to turn the crowd around, and they did it for us. And then by the end of their set, it was great. And then we got up and played. And then later, I think like a year later, I kept looking for them on Facebook to try to like chat them, like hang out with them. And they didn't have anything online. And then I went to Quai des Brumes in Montreal, which is a bar. And I literally walked in the bar and I looked and it was them. And they were playing the same songs. And I was like, what the fuck, dudes? Like, what did I say? I was like, you guys are assholes. Let's party. Is what I said. And then that was the song. And then that was the song because it was like those guys. And then later that night we like bought beer from the bar and they like wrapped it in a garbage bag and like chucked me out the back. And we went to some girl's house and just kept drinking and it was really cool. Those guys are rad. And that was my first show.
What happened to them in the end?
I don't know. They're still not on Facebook. They're not on MySpace. They're not on Bebo. They're not on Friendster. I can't find them. Anyhow, Rob, what's that? Are they on Nexopia? They're on Meta, dude.
So that was great. I liked all the stories. How'd you feel, Celine?
I could hear myself being like, Quebec City has a lot of skinheads in the background.
Always like coming around back to our complicated history with skinheads.
yeah. Always got to bring it up. I feel bad that I wasn't listening to Pat being like nice and eloquent, but we all made our choices in that moment.
And I mean, they've had a stable horn section since then. So
Yeah.
since Descent of the Planet Smashers, because it was a little bit more up and down, and but it was awesome to hear all those stories because that's basically the entire band that we've seen. When we saw them play, they did not have Dave, the bass player. They had a different bass player filling in. So I think they talked about it maybe a little bit later, but
Yeah.
Dave was the drummer originally, and then switched to bass. and he's been like the other mainstay. So Dave and Matt are basically like the Planet Smashers, like long term. So
Sweet.
yeah,
Not anymore though.
I guess. So the next segment. So this is one where Celine and Matt swap some stories. I don't know if you remember this
No.
about
Oh my God.
about Quebec punk bands. So some I think they were Montreal-based punk bands.
Yeah, I like
And,
kind of remember this.
Matt does tell some cool stories.
That's
So
good for him.
So part 5, Quebec punk.
That's fucking awesome. You know,
Remember the Baiters from Montreal? The Baiters? What kind of band? Like a 77 style punk band.
I don't know, man. How long ago?
Like that would have been like 10 years ago. Nah. Okay, nah. And nah. That's a hard. What about the Automatics? Yes. That's my ex-boyfriend's band. JP, he's a psychopath. No, what? No. Yeah. 2 years. No. Tell me more. But he's handsome though. Yeah, no.
Really? Really handsome. So the Automatics, can I go back on this one? Because we got some history too. No, I mean, so Dave, the bass player from the Smashers, the original guy, he recorded the Automatics' first 2 or 3 singles, I believe. And we just shared a jam space, and we used to. There were so many piss bottles. It was nightmarish. You'd go down there, you'd like try to like get to the jam space, there's little hallways, and you'd step and kick over a piss bottle from the fucking Automatics.
There's a lot of cocaine that was done.
There wasn't not a lot of cocaine done. So King Kong was in that band, and he went on to do really well. So I'm just going to switch over. Now we're 7 years later. It's our European tour, and King Kong knows that we're playing in it was like Dresden or something, or like Stuttgart, I don't know, some crappy show on a Tuesday night. King Kong shows up. He's like, I was having a bath. I took some acid. I was high on acid. I was having a bath, and then I looked at the local newspaper. I saw the Smashers are playing, so I got out of my bath and I came down. And he showed up in he was something. He showed up in a World War I German war helmet, but and he's this brown dude, you know. He's King Kong, and he just does whatever the fuck he wants. That was the Automatics. They just did whatever the fuck they wanted, and it might have been a shitty boyfriend, but that band was fucking good.
They were a good 77 punk rock band. They were fucking sweet. And they opened, I think they toured with the Vibrators.
They did. And now speaking of the Vibrators, we're just moving around here. The bass that our bass player, Andy, filling in for Dave, played on the stage tonight was the bass that he bought to play on the 2020 Vibrators tour that was canceled. So we can go back.
But he played like 2018 or 19.
Let's just ask him because he seems to be passing by. When did you play with the Vibrators?
That was 2014.
It's really cool. Right on.
Wait, what, did you come to Edmonton?
No, it was all U.S.
I didn't see you then.
7 weeks in the USA.
Only cool U.S. dates.
Wow. So that really went around in circle. That was crazy.
Vibrators played a really shitty small show in fucking Edmonton. Like a baby, like underground New City show. Like baby, like 20 people. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But that one dude that plays like now I'm just there's like one like hot older dude that plays like I think guitar. He's like kind of predatory, but he's hot.
Knox, yeah.
It's kind
Like hot young alt girls. Yeah, but he's hot, but he is good looking. He's just a little predatory.
Yeah.
But he's
You can't, he's a special, handsome man. Handsome man.
handsome man.
Yeah.
a special, handy, handsome man. But that was a weird little digression of music.
Yeah.
Let's get back to ska.
Before we get back to Ska'd, though, they were talking about King Khan, and if you like garage rock, find King Khan in the Barbecue Show. It is fantastic, like garage rock Canadian. It's real good. I love it.
We have a killer garage rock scene, and like especially it feels like now, like later on they'll kind of hype up some of the Stomp bands that are releasing music right now. I'm not sure which ones we talk about, but if you're like the Wine Lips are like a kind of garage rocky band, they're on Stomp. Stomp's been very like pleasant to the garage rock scene in Canada, and ours is pretty good, I think.
Hell yeah, totally.
Yeah.
How about you, Celine?
I'm just like, dealing with my own issues.
That was all you. Like
No, it's
you're able to
good.
swap stories about.
Yeah, no, I said all of those things. As we can hear.
I'm glad that you acknowledged that was indeed you.
That was me.
And that wasn't a different person.
Nope. Unfortunately not.
So we had to swing around and then ask the inevitable next question, which was about new ska music. This next segment has a few different components to it, but overall, we kind of chit-chat about how the new scene is going and what their thoughts are on it. So, new ska.
No, I'm going to ask you about death metal. How do you feel about Cataclysm?
This is pretty much Scott.
It's pretty much ska. There's also
Boingo Boingo. How do you feel about Danny Elfman?
You have to love Oingo Boingo.
Is Danny Elfman daddy?
Daddy?
Is Danny Elfman daddy?
No, he's
What?
he's Uncle Bad Touch.
Uncle Bad Touch. All right. Yeah, Danny Elfman is Uncle Bad Touch. Do you know how tattooed Danny Elfman is?
I did not know.
How do you know how ripped Danny Elfman is? This.
What's he doing? I don't know.
It's great.
Okay, fair enough.
he's great. He doesn't like sleeves, and he's a big fan of his tattoos. But he's great. And we discovered he likes ska. A ginger. That's what is that what you called her, or what Ariane called him? We're all ginger kings.
What other ska bands are French Canadian ska bands?
I think what you mean to say is what in the modern, like in nowadays, like who's because we're on top of like a lot of the newer, like the new tone bands, like a lot of them show up on our podcast, and we got like a little bit of a following down in the U.S. But we're not really as aware of the new bands that are coming up around here. Edmonton, nobody. But I'd be curious to know what's going down east.
But in Toronto, the Filthy Radicals, you know about those guys yet?
Absolutely, yeah. I've been retweeting the tweets from them big time.
Sweetheart, really crazy band. They're really good. They're nuts. In Quebec, we got
Sweetheart.
We got the Frank Batard. So the bastard Franks, the Frank Batard. What is it? Is it?
I'll tell them because I'm francophone. Franc Bâtard, which is Ile de la Réunion, so Réunion Island and Quebec mix, and it's ska and it's African music at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's also Épicurien.
Yeah, they broke up.
And that
Did they break up?
Well, they stopped playing.
No, but they just put out a single.
There's also the Robert Creek Saloon from
yeah.
Quebec City. Danny Rebel and the KGB, of course. Yeah, amazing band. So there's some new bands forming. It's kind of cool, but we're not quite seeing the same thing that's happening in the States yet, where there's like this resurgence in crazy ska, which is where Filthy Radicals are sort of at, which for me makes them quite relevant in terms of the new breed, which is cool.
Yeah.
Scott's coming back. Also, like, I could just like listen to you ASMR anything. Has anyone offered that to you?
Alex?
SMR.
ASMR means just like your voice sounds very soothing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're supposed to like smack your lips and like whisper. That's like the ASMR thing. Yeah.
Hey, we're making money off of this.
ASMR is like a great way to make a lot of money.
Yeah, I feel like you have like a perfect French Canadian voice.
Thank you. I'll work on it.
Thank you. I work on it.
The other
You have a perfect French Canadian voice. I don't remember it. I don't remember saying that.
there was a piece that I had to cut because you can't hear anything. It just was like impossible to hear. That you ask him because he's got a dimple, and you ask him if it's natural or if he got it pierced, and then he said, "I don't know. You have to ask my mom."
And then
Did I catch that?
I don't
think that
think
would have
so,
went
did it?
over my head
I
at
don't
that
think you
point.
got that.
That's too smart.
I think
at that
shortly after that, you refer to him as a beautiful cartoon of a French man.
Alex is such a nice guy. We really tested their patience a little bit. Just shoving our microphone in their face. I also forgot all about the Oingo Boingo
And they
stuff.
liked it.
Yeah, they did the full 30 minutes. I think it was a 35-minute record from 1:30 till 2 in the morning. So yeah, I forgot all about that Oingo Boingo stuff though. Yeah, it was fresh off the heels of doing the episode.
Yeah, I
and
guess
so
that was
really
just
like
in my brain apparently.
Chaz like skank and pickle. And so I guess like let's tie a bow on it. The last segment is about just them plugging. It's a quick outro for them to talk about whatever is left and whatever final bits we had. I actually kind of don't remember what it is, so let's listen to it and then we'll comment on it.
Pat, how's it going?
I just want to say I love your podcast, and I do listen to it, and I have the JFK one queued up on my phone. I'm very excited to listen to it, and because I used to play with them, and I love your podcast. And keep going, guys. I love you.
That is the sweetest goddamn thing I've ever heard.
Weirdos. We're like straight up fucking weirdos.
Mostly Rob.
It's mostly Rob. It's mostly Rob. Also, JFK fucking. He said the woman gave him a 7. There's a Ska'd Daddy meter that's happening, and I want Ska'd Daddy meter, and I want you Ska'd Daddy meter, and I want you to keep that in mind with the way you're talking. There's a scale of Ska'd Daddies, and your scale is going up, baby. You're a 10. 10s across the board.
Celine's story, so I can finish it for her, is that she told on the podcast, she said that he was a 7, and then he tweeted at Sam from Witch Police that he was flattered that he was a 7.
He said the woman rated me a 7.
The woman.
And he had always thought himself as a 5 or a 6.
He's such a funny guy. Well, you know what? This is like a 30-minute is a great place to stop for an initial interview.
It's like, that's so, like, your time. I realize, like, I'm a drunk asshole right now, but, like, genuinely appreciate it. I'm going to wake up and be like, remember when I was a drunk fucking asshole to those nice men? That's so magical that you listen. I'm going to give you a moment.
I'm so happy. I'm happy that I got to, like, be on the podcast because I do listen to it, and I'm stoked to be here.
That's so nice and magical. You're so special.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. You're a cartoon of a beautiful French man. And no, you, what? You have to say something to end it.
Pick it up.
That's bullshit. I am Matt from the Planet Smashers, and I love Checkered Past the Scottcast, and everyone should listen.
I love Checkered Past the Scottcast.
Yeah.
And pickles.
Yeah! And fucking pickles, bitch.
I know that was your mic drop moment, but that's terrible podcasting. So one more question. What would you like to plug?
Who we'd like to plug? We'd like to plug the Filthy Radicals, man. Go listen to their new album on Bandcamp. They're on Stomp now. They got signed, so it's great. What else? What you got?
Ska related or non-ska?
Oh, I mean, anything. Yeah, it doesn't have to be ska related. Plug stuff.
I got it. Listen to the new Doghouse Rose album. Those guys put out crazy music videos. They make them themselves. They're fucking talented. Anti-Queens. Those guys are, man, come on. Go listen to them. It's great.
And if I'm going to plug, I love the new Wine Lips album. That was on Stomps. It was really fucking awesome. So, I mean, thanks to Matt, Pat, and Alex, we had 3 of the Planet Smashers on the podcast. This is a fucking dream come true. So thank you guys so much. This was fucking rad as shit.
And that's the interview.
Pickles, bitch.
Pickles, bitch.
I know that was your mic drop moment. That's not how we're ending this podcast.
Yeah, we're not gonna end it with
Pickles, bitch.
pickles, bitch. Especially
Only if you write a ska song and then we do an episode about your ska career so that Rob can end the episode with the quote, Pickles, bitch.
Yeah. We'll get there.
So, I mean, we definitely have to have the Planet Smashers back on to do a proper episode, but it was just they spent the time, you know, they wanted pizza.
Thank you, and I'm sorry.
So Matt, I don't know if we actually like explained exactly what they all do. So Matt Collier is the guitarist and the singer, and then we had Pat on the trombone and Alex on the saxophone, and they came and interviewed, and we heard a little bit from the fill-in bass player whose name escapes me. I'm sorry. But it was a really cool opportunity. So thanks to Joey for like hooking that up.
I do what I can.
And I think
Thanks to
Celine
for
your charisma.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But it was cool as hell, and we're definitely going to try to get them back on. I definitely want to echo a lot of the new Stomp bands. So I said Wine Lips, Filthy Radicals are awesome. The new Rude City Riot came out this year, and it's really awesome. Anti-Queens are great. Doghouse Rose, who were at the show. Who else was at the show? Yeah, the Real Sickies and Ray Gun Cowboys are from Edmonton, and they were really good too. Those are non-ska bands. Yeah, so if you want to check out something not ska related, check out all the Stomp offerings this time around because there's lots of good stuff. So
Fire Next Time played as well.
Oh yeah, Fire Next. That's the band we came in on.
Edmonton Bros.
And the Praying Saints. Yeah. Geez, there was 7 bands. That was a big.
lot.
That was a big show. We did miss the first couple.
Thank God. Like not.
It was
a long night.
I really
everyone.
wanted to see the Anti-Queens and I missed them, which was too bad.
That
but
sucks.
That sucked. But it was a long night and we were out until like 3 a.m. So and we're old.
No offense to the band. Just I'm just tired.
I'm just tired.
I'm just tired, everyone.
Yeah, I constantly have like waking dreams about sleeping in a bed. So that's as good a time as any to end it. So thanks for listening to Checkered Past.
Are you killing yourself?
Yeah.
It's a good time to end it.
That's a good time.
As any.
Kick.
Is that you kicking the bucket?
Well, I was kicking the chair.
Oh, I thought you were kicking the bucket, like you were kicking the bucket.
It's funny too.
Yeah. Kick. That's me kicking the bucket.
That's wait. There's something here. Wait.
No, I don't think there is. Pickles, bitch.
Robert kicked the bucket. No, okay.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was something.
Yay! It was something.
It was
a
something.
joke, I think.
Thanks for listening to Checkered Past. Hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Checkered Past Pod, or send us an email at checkeredpastpod@gmail.com. Ask a question for the show, suggest bands, bring us games to play, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcast. This episode is produced and engineered by Joey. Our theme song is OAO by Edmonton's own Mad Bomber Society. Next week, we'll have Eric Dano from Holophonics on to discuss Bomb the Music Industry. Until next time, I'm Rob.
And I'm Celine, unfortunately.
And I'm Engineer Joey.
And in the immortal words of the Planet Smashers, I love Checkered Past the Ska'd cast and pickles. Bitch.